European Court of Justice upholds strict rules on tobacco. Paris, Europe's highest court upheld tough new tobacco rules on Wednesday, finding that the European Union had the legal right to place restrictions on the sale of electronic cigarettes and to adopt rules requiring cigarette packs to carry graphic images of diseased human organs. The new rules take effect this month, although the Union's 28 member countries have some leeway in how to adopt the measures, which also include a ban on menthol cigarettes. Although the court ruling cannot be appealed, the tobacco industry, which lobbied against the rules before the European Union voted them into law in 2014, indicated on Wednesday that it would continue to seek to overturn some of the specific elements, including rules meant to remove the marketing allure from cigarette packaging. Resistance could prove difficult, though, because the court ruled in favor of the tobacco law on all counts. The European Court of Justice, based in Luxembourg, had been asked by Poland, Romania and several English courts to determine whether the 2014 legislation, which updated rules for the sale of tobacco and e-cigarettes, was lawful. The new EU directive on tobacco products is valid, the court found. The extensive standardization of packaging, the future EU-wide prohibition on menthol cigarettes and the special rules for electronic cigarettes are lawful. The Court of Justice interprets European Union law to ensure it is applied evenly across the bloc, and it settles disputes brought by claimants who believe the bloc's laws have violated their rights. Poland, which has one of the world's highest rates of menthol cigarette consumption, had argued that the rules were unfair to its smokers, and Romania supported its challenge. The tobacco industry, led by Philip Morris International and British American Tobacco, had challenged plain packaging rules in Britain, where the courts passed the matter to the Court of Justice. The court found that the 2014 tobacco law was meant to facilitate the smooth functioning of the internal market in Europe, while providing a high standard of protection for human health. The court also noted that such regulation was necessary under Europe's international treaty obligations as a party to the World Health Organization's Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. The court ruled that the European Union had not overstepped its bounds in limiting the nicotine content of e-cigarettes to 20% of the liquid that is used in them and imposing bans on e-cigarette advertising similar to those affecting traditional tobacco products. The court noted that the new regulatory system for e-cigarettes is, in fact, less strict than that governing tobacco. Totally Wicked, a British maker of electronic cigarettes, had challenged the European regulations, arguing in part that vaping, as use of e-cigarettes is known, is safer than smoking. That argument recently received support in Britain from the Royal College of Physicians. Totally Wicked said in a statement after Wednesday's court ruling that the new regulations would adversely impact the availability of good quality electronic cigarettes and e-liquids, and jeopardize the life-changing potential of vaping, resulting in a major detrimental impact on the public health of millions of people across the EU. In the United States, e-cigarettes are now a multi-billion-dollar market. They have gained popularity faster than the federal government has managed to regulate them. In 2014, the Food and Drug Administration proposed ways to bring them under federal oversight, including banning their sale to people under 18, but has not yet published final rules that would put the measures into practice. In the absence of federal regulation in the United States, many states have already passed laws that ban using e-cigarettes in public places, regulate their sale and, in some cases, tax them. More than half of states already enforce bans on their sale to minors. The European Court on Wednesday also strongly endorsed member states' right to standardize cigarette packages to reduce their marketing appeal. Australia pioneered the plain packaging rules, drawing attacks from the tobacco industry, including a so-called investor-state case under the country's trade agreements with Hong Kong. That case was dismissed at the end of 2015. But the industry continues to fight tobacco regulation through the World Trade Organization and other bodies. In New Delhi on Wednesday, Reuters reported, The Indian Supreme Court backed plain packaging rules requiring that a greater portion, 85%, of a cigarette pack be covered with health warnings. The packaging restrictions around the world have been heavily resisted by tobacco companies, which argue that it is an attack on their intellectual property rights. Although plain packaging is not mandatory by European Union member states, the bloc's new rules allow members to require that 65% of the front and back surface of each package carry health warnings and, in some cases, pictures of disease-ravaged human organs. The European Court of Justice found that the purpose of the packaging rules is such as to protect consumers against the risks associated with tobacco use and does not go beyond what is necessary in order to achieve the objective pursued. But the tobacco industry says the last word has not been heard on the subject. Today's judgment is specific to detailed aspects of EU law and reflects the substantial deference that the Court of Justice often shows to the EU institutions when reviewing EU legislation. Mark Firestone, Philip Morris International's Senior Vice President and General Counsel, said in a statement. The court has not considered whether plain packaging is legal or is capable of reducing smoking rates, Mr. Firestone said. Those questions are currently under review by the English High Court and the World Trade Organization. We look forward to the outcome of those proceedings, as well as the timely implementation of the directive in each of the 28 member states.